this week's episode. So I am coming to you live from Media City in Salford to bring you our episode of Trending Topics. As you may or may not know, we've changed the format of the vlog to include an episode each month called Trending Topics. Now what this will include is any kind of information or field that will affect anyone who works in the music industry. Now that could be from singers, musicians, engineers, and anyone who has any connection with the industry. And so it's an interesting way to bring these topics so that we can talk about them and see how they will affect the industry at large. So this week I thought it would be appropriate, seeing as I'm on tour currently with Michael Kiwanuka, to talk about Brexit. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that the UK have triggered an article to leave the EU. Now, people might argue, well, what has that got to do with musicians and what has that got to do with the music industry? But actually, it has a massive impact on what can happen moving forward. Now, I don't know how much of it will actually take place at this stage, but I do know that when the article is triggered and we actually leave the European Union, that will have tremendous implications for singers, musicians, and anyone who works in the industry on a freelance basis. So let me explain why that is.
Brexit is one of those things that you cannot tell what's going to happen until it happens. I also feel like a lot of people have been worrying about how it will impact people's jobs, particularly freelancers and session singers and musicians like myself. But I do know that organisations like the Musicians Union have been fighting really hard to ensure that the well-being and future of musicians is considered in all of the decision making and the policy making, so that people are aware how much it impacts our lives, our livelihood, and such the like. So I'm really intrigued to know what happens. I think a lot of people made the decision about Brexit because they were unaware of how it would impact the world or the nation that we live in, particularly obviously the UK. It has wider implications, but I think people were a little bit disillusioned with what was happening, and they felt like maybe this was a good way to try and change that, but obviously not realising the knock-on effect it has. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen. I can't really worry about something that I don't know anything about, which is why I'm trying to stay optimistic about my working life. I mean, it hasn't actually been triggered just yet, so my working life hasn't really changed that much. I'm sure it will, because it will also impact things like the laws, copyright, import and export of physical copies of vinyl, CDs. I know vinyl's become a really big thing at the moment, so I know that exporting that will change to some degree because of the laws about trading in the European Union and economic area. And it probably sounds all airy-fairy farty and very business-like in the initial stages of it transferring, but actually I'm sure that it will have an effect on how we work. I'm hoping that it won't affect the amount of work we get. I know that a lot of people, particularly like for example my tour managers, have been really worried about how Brexit will impact their working lives. For example, if it means that the cost of travel increases, either because you have to get visas or travel documents, or the length of time that it takes in order for visas and travel documents to be processed, that because the cost will be increased, then the demand will actually decrease. I'm hoping that that's not so, because I do love to travel and I do love touring, so I would hate to think that Brexit prevents me from doing that to the same degree that I have been doing so far. I know places like Switzerland are not in the EU, don't quote me on that, but I believe I've travelled to places that are part of Europe but not in the European Union. So I believe it's like Norway and Scandinavia, more towards the Scandinavian area, but don't quote me on that. I think we do have to be aware and vigilant, but I do think that it's not really something we can make a decision about at this stage. So I'm really optimistic and hoping that we'll continue to be able to travel for work without any restriction or without any major change, and that other people will also be able to come to the UK and work, because you know, music is one of those things that you have to experience as well as obviously listen to. But going to gigs and people coming over to play in the country is something that I value. I go to lots of gigs all the time, and obviously I'm also part of gigs for work. So I would hate to think that it's negatively impacted by a decision that people made without considering the wider implications. So that's where I stand on it.
So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. You learned something or got some insights into what goes on in the world of music. We would love to connect with you on social media about this topic. So if you can use the hashtag #TheInThingSpeaks, which is right up here, we would love to connect with you on social media about this topic. We are on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, Snapchat, Google+, the works. Also, please hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all the videos that we post. We post every single Wednesday without fail, and we've always got a new thing for you each week. So guys, without further ado, I better go back to work. So see you!